Good evening, guys. I'm not sure whether you can hear Brent. I think he's.
You got a countdown.
Yeah, no, Brent is gone. Okay, you're back, Brent. There you go. Now you're frozen again. Oracle, nice to have you back again. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just telling Brent earlier. Sorry, I didn't give you a call or put a thing up. But
back. Can you hear me?
I decided to do the videos again, and I realised what the hard work was actually doing the website. And I'm sure you remember as well, because you used to type me out a thing every week. That was the problem, and I realised it took the fun out of it. So I decided to go back to the fun part and do the videos and have a bit of banter. And hell, let's go. I'm not trying to make any money, just having a bit of fun and yeah. Better than the website was a problem. It was 25 hours a week. It was crazy. So
I actually watched 2 or 3 videos quickly before the show now. I see Brent is back with us. Brent, we can see you moving, so you can talk.
Still looks yellow, like he's sunbed or something for 3 days.
He seems he can't hear us, but he's definitely back. Okay. Maybe we should start with the South African rugby. Oracle, the first game back in your valley. Brent, you must just say if you can hear us. The first game back is in Durban in your valley, Oracle. It's great to have South African rugby back. You must probably give us a heads up on the conditions here. We've got the Sharks. I see it's up to 7.5 now, the handicap. Started about 4.5. What's your feeling here, Gavin?
Henrik, I honestly think this Sharks team is in far better condition than the Lions. I know I said the same thing 2 weeks ago when they had that friendly up in Pretoria, but honestly, this Sharks team is ready. It's well prepared. Conditions are great. Actually, we had beautiful blue sky today. Apparently, it's going to be the same tomorrow. There might be a bit of a breeze. I know in Durban the wind was blowing a little bit today, but nothing that would knock out any points. I know you're quite a big points punter. The wind wasn't that strong, but it's been beautiful. We've had, honestly, I think 2 weeks of rain. Today was the first time we saw the sun really properly. I mean, I'm looking at the background of the screen here today. We didn't even have that many clouds, and I don't think there's going to be any tomorrow. Obviously, playing in an empty stadium is going to be completely different. I know the guys had that in the friendly, but I think that will affect them. And I know, speaking to the Stig with his algorithm, he pointed out that after COVID, with a lot of these games, especially in Europe, the crowd did make a difference. So, I know that, we don't have that many crowds. 10,000 is a lot at the Sharks Stadium. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Lions are ready for this. We saw in that friendly, when they changed the team, they changed 15 full people, 15 full team, took them off, put them on, and suddenly they're winning 14-0 against the Stormers team. But that wasn't a reflection of anything. I think the Lions have got a long way to go. They're going back 5 or 6 years to starting again and having to build up. The Sharks are ready. We know they had a great ending to the pre-COVID time. And I know they've lost a few players, Pimpy going up to Japan and, a couple of other guys going. But honestly, I think this Everett Ike knows what he's doing. And I think this minus, I priced it up at 6.5 at the start of the week. As you said, now it's 6 or 7. I think you're safe up to about 8 or 9.5. Anything sort of about 12 or 13, I'd be a Lions plus punter. But I don't see the Lions winning this game. I see the Sharks winning it and winning it by more than a try and not within any trouble. Don't think they'll get into trouble at all.
Yeah, no.
Excellent, Gav. Just before Henrik comes in, I think I'm back, guys. Can you hear me? I just want to check.
You're back.
Okay, well, let me hang in for a while there. Certainly, I've been switching connections, but good old Afri host, my Wi-Fi has been giving me problems all day. But carry on, Henrik. I'll let you guys finish the opening game of Super Rugby Unlocked.
Yeah, sorry, Brent. We just chipped in there. Gavin, it's a bit of a concern for me that you're telling the conditions are good in Durban and it's not that hot. I was hoping we'd have a bit of humidity because I'm
sorry. No, it was hot today. My wife actually said to me, "It's 26 or 27. What should we do?" By the time I came home, the aircon was on. I got to tell you, okay. Durban was a lot cooler than where I live. I'm up 600 meters. It was hell of a hot here. Durban itself wasn't that hot. But okay. Again, you come down from Joburg or Pretoria, it feels different. The humidity is there. The locals don't feel it, Henrik. That's the problem. We just don't feel it. It's difficult to tell exactly. It's the hottest day we've had in 2 weeks, but it's not that hot.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense because you guys are used to it, so it might affect the Lions more than the Sharks. I'm still lining this up as an unders game. I hope the points quote is more than 50. Even high 40s, I'll be happy to go unders because I like at Newlands and Durban, those two coastal venues, it's always unders venues for me, like we saw last week at Newlands with the Springbok trials as well. So I'm hoping for a nice quote here. On the handicap, I'm a bit uncertain. I hear you on the Sharks, and they've got a pretty good back line. Not sure about the forwards that much. And I'm not. The Lions team actually looks better on paper than I expected. So I'm very uncertain about the handicap. I'm not going to be getting involved here. I'm just waiting to get involved in the points line. So yeah. Can't wait for the points to come out. The bookmakers are probably going to be a bit scared to come out early, so I'm not expecting these points to come out before 2 or 3 o'clock our time tomorrow afternoon. It's a good point you made about the crowds as well. That's an interesting one, and I've heard from a few players from what I've read in the northern hemisphere where they've had rugby without crowds, it affects them, and the crowd is always big for the home team, so that's really in the way teams favour. So that's my take.
It is.
Brent, are you still there? Brent's frozen up again.
I hope. Am I here? No, hopefully I'm back. The nice thing about this is I get to listen to the show tomorrow for the first time because I can hardly obviously hear what's going on. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next game then, guys. If you have finished talking about that one, Cheetahs against Pumas, that's on Saturday. I know lots of talk about the Cheetahs as a possible outright pick. Guys have been taking 20-1 during the week as an outright pick for the competition. And here I see they're big favourites. I'm just popping onto Sunbet quickly, minus 22.5 Cheetahs against the Pumas. And Gav, I'll start with you. I don't know, first of all, just to mention, I don't know if you touched on it while I was changing connections. You started doing your videos again. I don't know if this one is up yet. But, I mean, guys can look out for your individual video as well.
Yeah, I'll put them up. And as I said very quickly to Henrik at the start, I just said, I stopped doing the videos because, I realized after a long time that it was actually the website that was causing the problem. The videos were great fun. And, I started the website and, geez, I was doing like 25 hours a week and it was killing me. I was earning a little bit of money, but, the effort was just far more than the reward. I've always got a little bit of a scale, happiness and labour. If the happiness isn't bigger than the labour, then you're wasting your time. And that's what happened in the end. Whereas the videos are great. Took me a few minutes this afternoon. But what I've done differently this time is I'm posting the Stigs line on there. I always looked at myself, and Henrik will know as well. I don't know the players. I'm a different kind of punter than most of the guys. And, I'll make up my mind within a few minutes. I'll look at a few things. I do a bit of homework. I'm not a complete mug that doesn't touch anything. But, I've got a good rugby brain and a good maths brain, and I look at the stuff, and I've made money over the years. I'm not a 65 or 70%er, and the Stigs at the moment sitting in the 60s, and I'm going to take him on in this Rugby Unlocked, and I've posted his line on, and we're going to do a bit of a scoring thing, and I think if I remember correctly, you're going to have a little bit of a page of almost a scorecard on Good for the Game. So guys can follow Stig and can follow me. And this particular week, we've actually all the time. We've all picked the same way. I've gone for all minuses, which I know is dangerous. I know it's probably ridiculous, but it just feels right. So I don't know.
Okay, well, just to mention, I have actually put a link to Betting Stig's blog on Good for the Game down below in the description box. So if you don't know what we're talking about with Betting Stig, go and check that out. We'll also have a page up for Oracle Rugby. I still call you Oracle Rugby. I know you've changed your name on the
Oracle
YouTube
Rugby
channel. But we'll have that up as well, and we'll put that link on as well. But Gav, looking at this game then, Cheetahs against the Pumas, it's a big handicap. I've heard you say you went for the minus. Did you go? What level did you go at?
I haven't really gone for any units. I didn't want to confuse too many people, and I wanted to keep it a little bit simple. But I like this one. This is probably a medium to strong play. So maybe 3 or 4 units, maybe not 4, 2.5, 3 units. the biggest problem here with, again, we'll talk about the Griquas in the next game. The Pumas and the Griquas are not match ready, and that's the biggest thing here. I don't know what sort of training they've done in the background with COVID, but the Bulls, geez, we saw them play against the Sharks 2 weeks ago. I know it was a friendly, and I'm not looking at the results. I'm more looking at the players, the fitness levels. I was really impressed with the Bulls. They were really great. In fact, I think I still had a bit of a WhatsApp with you and said, I'll take the Sharks at plus 15 or whatever it was, and they ended up losing by more than that. So the Bulls they came out to play. They look like they mean business, and I've got to say, this Pumas team is going to arrive with absolutely nothing. They're going to get stumped. So the other thing we've got to look at, and it's very important, both the Griquas and the Pumas fixtures against the Cheetahs and the Bulls are against Curry Cup teams. This particular weekend is not a Curry Cup fixture. This is a Super Rugby Bulls against a Curry Cup Griquas, and the Cheetahs is a Pro 14 Cheetahs up against the Curry Cup Pumas. It's completely different. This is the kind of fixture we actually been looking forward to for many years. We don't get the opportunity to see. So yes, COVID's given us a whole lot of rubbish, but in this case, they've given us something, at least a decent match. I know there's obviously guys that have gone overseas and whatever it is, but this is as full strength as you're going to get with the Bulls, and as full strength as you're going to get with the Cheetahs against average Curry Cup teams that don't make the semi-finals. This for me is a minus play. Stig line was 30 on this game, 30 in the next one. I'm expecting, I wouldn't even be touching pluses until we got to 28, 29, 30. I'm a minus punter right up until then.
Right, well, you're going against Neil there. He's leaning on the Pumas, but let's see what Henrik says on this one. Henrik, it's a big handicap. First week, do we go against the Pumas here?
Brent, I'm definitely not confident here, but I'm leaning plus here. I'm hearing what Gavin's saying. I like the Pumas and I like Jimmy Stonehouse. I like to follow coaches. The Cheetahs team looks good on paper, and they've got the likes of Ruan Pino, Frans Steyn. And I'm also one of those that like the Cheetahs on the outright here. The reasoning, particularly being the Springboks will probably play 2, maximum 3 weeks. But I think only the first 2 weeks of the Super Rugby Unlocked. So then the Springboks will head to Australia for the Rugby Champs. So that plays into the favour of the Cheetahs, in my opinion, because they will probably only lose Frans Steyn. But on this game, it's a very small fancy, but I haven't put any money down. There comes a bit of money for the Cheetahs, but I've got a small fancy on the Pumas plus. My big fancy will be again on points, same as the previous game. And probably next game as well. But I like the points here. It's perfect conditions in Bloemfontein, 4:30 kickoff. I see a lot of points in this game. So I hope the bookmakers will be generous. Anything under 60 points, total points, I'll be all over points here. And I think we'll easily see 70 to 80 points in this game. I'm expecting a lot of points, even with it being the first game for both these teams.
Well, we can hope that the bookmakers who priced up, the overseas bookmakers, and I wrote my Citizen blog on it this week, they priced up last week's Springbok trial match at 70.5 points. And I mean, we could not believe that line and absolutely got involved. So let's hope they saw that low-scoring game and they priced this at somewhere in the mid-50s or something, Henry, because I'm with you there, all over on the points. Guys, we're going to talk about the next Curry Cup game, and we're going to run the first of 2 500-rand voucher competitions. One of our punters, one of the guys on the Good for the Game forum as well, Ari, is actually sponsoring 2 500-rand vouchers to the Stokers Arms. Now, that's a pub in Kloof in Durban, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure Gavin's going to be nodding his head. I think he's had many a pint there. And the nice thing about this is, look, Ari's putting it out of his own pocket, 500 rand. We're going to have 2 comps. But enter no matter where you are in the world, because what we've said with these things, you can't expect everyone in Kloof just to enter. And most of the housewives there watch Gavin's trivia, but they don't watch this show. So what we'll do is say, if you win this and you live wherever you live, you can nominate someone who lives in the area so that they can go to Stokers Arms and get 500 rand off their bills. So great, Ari, thanks very much. We're going to handle that in just a few minutes. But before we do that, I'm going to stick with Henrik and go to the running of the bulls, as Sean Nicholas calls it. Here, Henrik, we've got a big line of minus 24.5 at Sunbet. I know there was 18.5 early in the week, and the boys seem to be climbing all over the bulls.
Brent, I got involved on 19 of them on the minus on the bulls, and I took some 20 and a half, minus 20 and a half as well today after the teams we saw the teams. It's a very average Griquas team. Griquas, they're always competitive in the Currie Cup, but for me, this is one of the poorer Griquas teams I've seen in a while. They've got a good 9, they've got a solid 10, but apart from that, 12 under Swart is not bad. But apart from that, they haven't got a lot, and I really like the Bulls team. Wayne Vermeulen, he's missing. He's got a slight niggle apparently, but that's not a big issue for me. Tim Agaba is a very mobile loose forward, and I think the way this game will be played will actually suit him. I'm really glad to see Monestein at 10. I think the Jack White Monestein combination will be great for the Bulls this season, and it's actually good for the Bulls that Mornay isn't considered for the Springboks anymore. So I expect Monestein to control the game well here, and I see the Bulls winning well. I like the Miners a lot here, and I also like overs here again. I see Brady commenting about me going overs because I'm normally an underspunter. But yeah, South African games, the South African local games, especially the Currie Cup, well, this is basically actually a Currie Cup. I know it's Super Rugby. They are normally more overs, especially under Highveld and Bloemfontein and that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at the Bulls points here. Anything under, will probably not be under 40. But if it's
40, you'll be doing well to get 40, I think.
Yeah, low 40s, anything under 45 and a half. I can see the Bulls putting 50 on Griquas easily, yeah. Even with it being an evening game, because I've checked the weather and it's going to be a perfect day in Pretoria. We should ask our mate Brendan Wessels what's the Pretoria weather going to be like, but the prediction I checked, it's going to be good conditions. So I like the Bulls points and I like the Miners. Of all the 3 games on the handicap, this is my strongest fancy on the handicap, Bulls Miners.
Excellent. Well, I'm pleased you mentioned the conductor. I think he's out on another Tinder date, but I'm sure he'll be back with us in a couple of weeks. And knowing him, he's going to tune into the show at some stage during his date. The Crow tips on Twitter. He posts tips every week. Go and find him there. Bulls will win by 40 plus. So that's good news, certainly for Hendrik's overs bet. And Hendrik, I do like the Bulls overs as well. And also rather go Bulls than match over because I was impressed with the Bulls defense in that super fan game. So I think they can keep Griquas very much out of it. But let's see what Oracle Rugby says on this one.
I'd like to say Jeswa to Brady, first of all, because he's 100% right. Hendrik is the points master, and overs is something that's very rare, and he's 100% right with South Africa. I mean, I just saw a comment by, I think it was Helcott, that said that was the entire points with Pro 14 for the week. Yeah, listen, we see 75s and 80s in South Africa very often. Flowing game, good conditions, decent hard floor on the ground. And just anything can happen. And I just saw, sorry, I've forgotten your name for a moment now, suggesting the Bulls can win by 40. Of course I can. The Bulls can score 65 here, and the Griquas can score 10, and it can be a 75-point game. There's no doubt about it. That can definitely happen in this rugby. Look, this is not the Currie Cup fixture. I'm going to stress it out again. It's not the Currie Cup fixture we expect. This is a Super Rugby team versus a Currie Cup team. And it is at night. And those who don't know, the Griquas didn't have lights until the Uruguayan 2010 soccer team arrived and put the lights in Kimberley. Those games used to be in the afternoon at 3 o'clock or at worst at 5 o'clock. So the Griquas have got lights, but they're not used to playing at night. They'll be out of their depth here. The Bulls should smash them. I say should. Obviously, it's rugby, it's punting. Anything can happen. But for me, it's 90% here that the Bulls will smash this team by more than 30. I'd only be a Griquas punter in the 30s, really. 35, 36, I'd be a plus punter. But until then, I'm a minus punter. Yeah, I got nothing for the Griquas. Nothing. I mean, I know, I don't have anything for them.
Yeah, I'm with you there on the Bulls, guys. I do like them a lot. Let's go into the first competition then for the 500 Rand voucher. Now, this has got a horse racing angle because Ari, who's putting up the prize, well, at the start of the year when I won't say I came into contact with him at the first time, but he joined the Good for the Game syndicate. He had shares, only a small share in our horse. And now I think he's, as Sean says, he's Ari Jooste. He seems to have shares in most of the horses in the country. He seems to know every trainer, every jockey. So I'm putting up a horse racing question. So guys, just answer in the live chat. If you are watching on Facebook or Twitter, you're welcome to do it then. And the first person to get this right will win a 500 Rand voucher at Stoker's Arms. Here's the question. Do it again won back-to-back Durban Julys in 2018 and 19. Which horse did the double? And that was the last time it was done in 1999 and 2000. I don't think it's too easy, but Gavin, don't answer yet, Gav. We'll let you answer if we don't get any correct answers, but there is a bit of a time lag, so it wouldn't be fair if you popped up with the answer now. But let's see what the boys come up with there. And in the meantime, though, I'm going to leave that question up there, but go to the Mitre 10 Cup. And Gav, I know you haven't really studied on that, so I'll keep you in the studio and we'll move on to Bledisloe after that. But I just want Hendrik to take us through the games for the Mitre 10 Cup. And Hendrik, just having a look here, I'm just going to go through these fixtures fairly quickly, but you just focus. If it's a game you like, you focus on it, run through it. If you don't like it, we'll just skip it. Starting with Friday morning, Manawatu up against Canterbury, a big handicap here, plus 20.5, the home team, Manawatu.
I've been busy with work this week, so I haven't done the work I would like to, but I've had a quick look at the games, and there's one or two that I really like really strong. The first one is one of those. Before I get into my thing, I wanted to reply to Brady on the live chat now. I see he's asking about the points or tries in the local rugby. I can tell him that you can trust your life with Morne State. The Bulls overs on points rather than tries. But yeah, mostly it will probably be tries, but it will be internet. Okay, let's get back to the market thing. Tomorrow morning's game, our time. Crusaders, I say Crusaders, I help everybody right. Every time they call Canterbury Crusaders, now I call them Crusaders. Canterbury, they've picked a very average team in my opinion, and I must give credit to Neil Hoogwerf thoughts on sports here. Early in the week, on Monday already, he liked Manawatu on the plus here, the Turbos, plus 20.5, and then when the teams got announced today, I like him. I like Manawatu on the plus here. The average Canterbury team. The Turbos, they have a good pair of props. They've got a pretty decent team, and I just think at home they will give Canterbury a real run here. And 20.5 is a bit too much. Canterbury, they've got a few good players on the bench, so maybe the better option would be the first half handicap on Manawatu, plus 9.5, plus 10.5 thereabouts. But yeah, I'm happy to go on the full time plus 20.5. Next game, North Harbour and Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay lost. They won the Shield last week against Otago. Otago were really poor. North Harbour, they beat Tasman. That was a big shock. I didn't expect Tasman to lose a game this year, and they dominated Tasman. They easily beat them. North Harbour at home, 3.5 handicap. I think the minus is the way to go here. Hawke's Bay not defending the Shield. I think they might have a bit of a hangover from the Shield, like most of the teams have had. So yeah, I'm stronger on the first game than this one. I'm not that strong on this one, but I think the minus is the way to go on North Harbour here. Then we have Taranaki against Auckland. Taranaki at home, handicap of plus 12, plus 9.5 for Taranaki. Auckland started off well. They faded a bit, in my opinion. So I think a small plus here, but again, not very confident. Then we have Wellington against Otago in Wellington. Otago were really poor last week. Wellington were quite good against Canterbury. I expected Canterbury to win that game in regulation time. In the end, it was a draw, and then Canterbury got an intercept with Melbourne with the extra time and Melbourne point. I think Wellington on the minus here. It's a big minus, minus 15.5. But I think Wellington can go away here. Otago has shown a few cracks, and we were really poor last week. So a small player on the minus. Waikato, they've been very impressive with the counties. Again, the minus for me, 13.5, but also not a and then we get to one of my stronger fancies this weekend. My strongest fancy on the Mitre 10 Cup, Northland against Southland. Southland, they've been great in the first 3 weeks, but they've played in poor weather every time. I think the they obviously they have improved. The new coach has made a difference, but I think the way they have played in their hands. And
Jeez, not sure if we lost them. What happened? They're both gone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I don't know what happened there. Gavin seemed to lose you, but carry on, Henrik. I can hear you. I think we're okay.
Yeah, okay, so Northland, in my opinion, Northland is also very much improved, and they've been very impressive. So I like Northland on the minus. This opened about 7.5. I see it's up to 9.5. I'll still take the minus here. Anything under 2 converted tries. I think Southland will be found out for the first time here in week 4 now. So I like the minus very strong here. This is my strongest fancy on the Mitre 10 Cup. And then last game on the Mitre 10 Cup, Tasman Bay of Plenty. Now Tasman, I don't know what happened last week. It was a weird one with them losing against North Harbour. I expect a bit of backlash here. So yeah, minus 14 small play. But my strongest fancies on the Mitre 10 Cup, firstly Northland on the minus, and then Manawatu on the plus tomorrow morning.
Excellent. And just to mention, we're going for our 5th consecutive winner in the Friday newsletter that goes out. So there is a link to it in the description box below. We see if we can go 5 for 5. Usually we take the bet from the show. So I'll be probably going through the show, probably using the 2 times speed tomorrow, going through it and just seeing what all the best bets are and coming up with the best bet. But you can subscribe to that newsletter down below. Let's just run through a couple of the comments here. Sean Nicholas, Northland's minus is even more golden than Brent tonight. Thanks. Yes, I've got my... Whenever I sit in this particular position, for some reason, I seem to get my Donald Trump look. Let's see if I wipe the lens, if that makes any difference there. But thanks for that, Sean. Well, we got two guests to bring back now. We got Oracle Rugby will bring back in. And then we got Dave from Ireland has also joined us. We're going to be talking Bledisloe Cup before we move on to the European fixtures. So let me bring them back in and start straight away with Dave. Dave, welcome back to the show. Good to have you on.
Guys, evening. Great to see you again. All going well?
Excellent. Yeah, good stuff, man. We're excited. Our local game is getting a going again this weekend. So we're very excited about that. And I know, no doubt you'll be betting on that irrespective of anything else as well, especially because you're in contact with all of us guys now. That's it. And then we've just finished talking about the Mitre 10 Cup. Northland, a popular pick. We'll see Brady there going for Northland as well. Henrik likes them. And let's just put this one up quickly. The Crow tips, Wellington, Naki plus, Northland minus, and Manawatu plus there. But Dave, bringing you in because we want to also now move on to Bledisloe Cup. I'm sure you've got a good interest in that one this weekend. We've got a high handicap there. It's New Zealand at home. I'm going to start with you straight away. The handicap I've got here is minus 17.5 points New Zealand. I'm not sure what you've seen over there.
Yeah, I've seen it go up as high as 21 in some of the books. For me, my personal experience of the Tin Cup was 2005. I was there for the second Lions test, and it was an early night after that Dan Carter show. So it's a very, very windy venue for anyone who's been there. The conditions look to be the same on Sunday. So it's going to be a difficult game. I know Dave Rennie has joined as the Aussie coach, and he was very successful at Glasgow. From watching the Super Rugby in New Zealand and in Australia, it was like chalk and cheese. I think the Aussies will be up for this game, but I'm firmly on the All Blacks camp. Like if you've got Barrett and Myonga, Will Jordan, Sevi Reese, they've got game breakers, and if they can get any sort of ball, they're going to score tries. My own bet would be, I did it earlier in the week, was New Zealand -7 halftime.
Yeah, funny enough, I just did the good for the game preview tonight, and I went -8.5. It had moved to, I think it was New Zealand on the halftime handicap. I'm also expecting a quick start from New Zealand. Before I bring the other guys in, we are going to run that competition here now for another 500 Rand voucher at the Stokers Arms. Now, guys, you'll have to enter this in the live chat, whether you're on Facebook, wherever you are. And what I'll do is I'll have to go and figure out the winner afterwards. But what we're looking for is who's going to win the Bledisloe Cup, this match one. By how many points? I'll give an example here. Australia by 7. And how many points in total in the match. And the way it'll work is, obviously, you've got to get the winner, and then it'll be the person who gets the closest margin. And if that's a tie, we move to the total points as a tiebreaker. The winner gets a 500 Rand Stokers Arms voucher. And remember, it is transferable. So don't worry, wherever you are in the world, enter it in the live chat, have a go. And if you win, you can just nominate someone in the area, one of our punters, to go there and give Stokers Arms some business. So thanks again to Ari for that competition. And guys, you can get cracking with that one in the live chat. But let's go over to Gavin Cohen now, Oracle Rugby. Oracle, Bledisloe Cup, we got international rugby back. I must say I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's a pretty early kickoff our time, but I'll be up for this one just before I go on my 120-kilometre cycle.
You're not riding 120. Not a chance. You got to take away a 0 away there. You might do a 12K and you'll probably still be fine. But anyway. All right. So I just wanted to mention a couple of things first. You asked the question about do it again. So I got married on July Day in 2000, El Pitcher. So now my wife's sister, her husband, he doesn't like me. So let's not go into that. Anyway, he organizes us a car to drive us from the church to the photos. And it's a BMW 735, which has got a TV inside it. Now this is 2000, the year 2000. We watched the July 2000 in the car. We had to stop because the TV doesn't work when the car's driving. We had to stop on the side of the road. We watched the race and we did our photos. So it was definitely El Pitcher. It was an Argentinian horse. I know one in 99 and one in 2000. So if they don't have the answer, they can put that on to. Right, so I'm going to add to Ari's competition because Stokers is owned by Guy Stone. Stone Man, he's on our WhatsApp group. He's a fantastic guy. And whenever he wins a lot of money, it's always free beers at Stokers. # free beers at Stokers. So what I'm going to do in this competition is whoever wins this, for every point above 20, I'm not going to call 17 here, for every point above 20 that New Zealand wins by, I'm going to chuck in 10 Rand, which is going to go to the waitress. So the tip's out of the question for you. Your 500 will pay for food. I'll cover the waitress. The New Zealand
cover the waitress, yeah.
So the New Zealanders win by 30. You got yourself $100. The waitress has got $100. New Zealand won by 40. You got 200. And I got to tell you that if all 4 of my minuses arrive, I'm going to double that. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to come and sit with you at Stokers, and I'll make sure Guy Stone is there as well. I know Ari lives down the south coast somewhere in Mossel Bay or somewhere like that, so he can't be here. But listen, if you're in the Durban area, Stokers is the place to be. You've got to have a go. Going back to this game, I've got to tell you the handicap in this game, Australia, I don't think I remember a plus in Australia, a plus for Australia, less than, I'm going to say 10.5. I cannot remember a plus lower than 10.5. Here we're giving them 7 points for the most ridiculous local, I don't even know what this competition was that they played. 7 points is not enough. New Zealand will murder these oaks.
They have 7 points. Just to point out, 7 points is the halftime handicap, eh?
No. I'm saying 7 from 10 to 17. The difference between the handicap.
I see. I thought you were saying there was a 7-point handicap.
No. Australia at the top of their game were getting plus 10 in New Zealand. Now they're getting plus 70 is not enough. It's not enough by a country mile. Look, I don't know how much value the guys have put on this trophy. The New Zealanders have probably forgotten what it was called because they've won it so many times. The Australians have forgotten what it was called because they haven't won it since, I don't know, I'm going to say 1992. I know it was a long time ago. Probably wasn't that long. But, geez, this New Zealand lot are far better than Australia. I don't care how rusty they are. I don't care how many COVID cases they've had. They've closed their borders. And who knows, the Australians probably had to go into quarantine for 6 weeks. I don't even know. But New Zealand will smash this team. This is race over. Just remember, for every point above 20, I'm chucking in $10 to the waitress. I'm going to come along and sit with you. Guy Stone will be there as well. And I promise you, if you've never been to Stokers, you haven't lived. Simple as that. And I'm drinking out of a glass. It's a Portuguese beer served over there, but I stole this from Stokers, and geez, what a love it.
Excellent. Well, Henrik, I don't know who's more excited, Stokers that they might get their glass back, or the waitress that Gavin's going to cover her. I'm sure she's dying for that moment. But,
Poor waitress, poor waitress.
Anyway, Gavin's put some nice things on there. So what do you think of this one, Henrik? I've got a feeling that you're going to be going against Mr. Cohen here.
Yeah, Brent, like I'm on my own here because I've seen your preview and you're on the minus handicap for New Zealand. So obviously you like New Zealand as well. I like the Aussies here. Well, it's not. It's probably more case of me going against Ian Foster. I can't have Ian Foster as a coach. I don't like him, and I think New Zealand will. They're poorer for the coach they've picked. So I'm going against Ian Foster. I've made a stand against him, and going forward, I'm going against him. So it's more of a case of me betting against New Zealand than betting on Australia. But I like the plus. I'm going to wait. I haven't put money down yet. I'm expecting the line to move. I'm actually a bit concerned it hasn't moved yet, but I expect it to still move. A lot of the punters, the weekend punters, they still have to get their money on. So with this game only being Sunday morning our time, well, thinking about that, it's a perfect time. I can't have it at another time. 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning, just me and the TV, nobody to bother me. It's the perfect time for me. Imagine having a friend calling you and he wants to watch this game with you, and then you have to make up an excuse for him not to come. I love watching rugby on my own, and I can concentrate on the game. I hate when I have to watch with people, so this is the perfect time for me. I like the Aussies here. I'll take them on a plus on the first one. Our handicap, half handicap, if it goes to 10. I'm hoping for 20 plus, 20 or more plus on the Australia. I like the strong.
Excellent.
You get Sean's comment.
I enjoy it. Even the waitress at Stokers could coach this New Zealand team to a 20-point win. So Sean Nicholas very, very familiar. I must say, Henrik, you raised a good point there. 2 points I want to discuss about what you said. There was one about opposing the New Zealand management, and I'm kind of with you there. I'm also looking to oppose them. I'm just not convinced. I almost think it could be a case of a gradual deterioration under the coaching team. So I'm kind of looking at it perhaps a slightly different way than you. And just to mention that no matter what time of day or night it is, there's a certain guy, if you have a bet with him, he'll phone you at any time. I mean, a certain Mr. Gavin Cohen used to phone me with 100 meters to go in a Tour de France stage, and I used to see WhatsApp call coming through. But anyway, enough about that. Let's go on to Dave now. Oh, sorry, Henrik.
Just before we move away from me, I'm not sure. I just wanted to hear if Gavin is maybe keen on a 500 rand bet on the handicap.
On the New Zealand game.
Yes.
Right. I'll do 18 Tino bet. So you get your 17. I got to win at 19 or more. Done.
Perfect.
Got it.
Jeez, Gav, that must be strong Super Bock.
Sorry?
Dave, we'll bring you in there. Sorry, it was a bit quiet, that one.
I said it must be very strong Super Bock to put that bet on.
Listen, this probably cost 500 rand in Ireland.
I'm more interested in these waitresses.
No, the waitresses will be happy, I promise you. Don't worry about what Brent says. Waitresses like me.
Sure they do.
Right, Dave, let's get on to the handicap now on this one. We obviously got two camps so far, so we'll see if you're a bit of a deciding vote. We've got Henrik firmly in the Aussie plus and Gavin firmly on the New Zealand minus. We've got a 500 rand bet between them. What do you make of it?
I just can't see New Zealand not winning. They're just too strong. And I'm going to base it on just the Super Rugby competition. The Australian stuff was appalling. Yes, Dave Rennie will make a difference, but New Zealand are just a class apart. New Zealand by 20 for me.
New Zealand by 20. So the handicap fairly close there, but you'd be taking the minus sort of 17.5, 18.5 at current levels.
It was minus 15 earlier in the week here.
But your preference would be the halftime handicap, Dave?
Halftime, New Zealand minus 7, yeah.
Excellent, yeah, and I also like that halftime handicap quite a bit. So yeah, this game I'm certainly looking forward to. I really am cycling on Sunday morning. Yes, it won't be whatever kilometers I said it would be. It'll be more like about 30 or 40 Ks.
6Ks on Sunday and 6Ks tonight.
Thanks, Gav. Ye of little faith. Guys, thanks for entering that competition. We've got loads of entries there. You can still get it in before the end of the show if you haven't entered yet. But first of all, to a Cerebral Assassin, well done. He was the first with LP Chuck. Gavin's quite correct. That won the Durban July back-to-back in 99 and 2000. So, mate, email me and I'll put you in touch with all the necessary guys. Ari will get the money to Stokers and you can either use it yourself or nominate someone to use that. But thanks a lot, Ari, for that competition. Dino just coming in and saying, if it was Argentina, it would be all over the plus. But what we saw in Super Rugby AU was terrible. I've seen some mixed reviews on that. I also sort of started off feeling Super Rugby AU was terrible. But in the end, I thought there were a couple of reasonable games. But I am leaning towards New Zealand. I just can't back against New Zealand. I battle, even 4 minutes left and they 13 points behind the handicap and they still can pull out a couple of tries and that sort of stuff. So we'll see. But I think that brings us to the end of the Bledisloe. Hendrik, anything else from your side as far as betting goes for the weekend, or any best bets you want to highlight?
No, that's all from me, Brent. My best bet is Northland on the minus. Currently minus 9.5. I expect them to put Southland away. So of all the games, that's my strongest fancy. So I'll just knock that.
Okay, shot, Hendrik. Thanks very much for joining us. That was Hendrik Swat.
Yeah.
And we're going to now move into the European game. And Gavin, you're more than welcome to either bolt or stay along with us and sip your beer while you hear Dave's tips. And,
no, I'm happy to listen. But my best bet of the weekend, Brent, has got to be the Sharks. Sharks minus for me is, I know like everyone this whole week's been saying to me, Gavin, you're a Lions punter and whatever. So no, I like the Lions and I'll wear their shirt, but I'm not a mugger. At the end of the day, it's my money that's talking. The Lions aren't going to pay my debt if I lose the bet. So, for me, the Sharks are far better. They're far more organised. I don't know. I just like the Sharks here. I think it's a low handicap. Sharks should be probably minus 9 or minus 10 or minus 11, but they're not. And there's a hell of a lot of value on the Sharks team. I think they'll win the game comfortably. I think they'll win by more than 10, and I definitely like them.
Excellent. I can see Dave scratching his head there because he's trying to think, where do the Sharks play in the Pro 14? Because that's what we started talking about there. But Sharks I also like.
Well, next year they will be.
Yeah, that's true. Right, Dave, let's move on to the Pro 14. And we'll start off with the Dragons up against the Italian side, Zebri. I know there's been lots of movement here on the handicap in favor of the Dragons. The bookmaker that I'm looking at here, Sunbet's currently got minus 12.5 on the home team.
Yeah, Brent, big swing. The book opened at minus 7, and it's gone all the way out. I didn't get to see the Zebra team today, but from what I've heard, they're sending a weakened team. Their team didn't get announced when I looked 2 or 3 times. The Dragons were quite impressive last week against Leinster. Despite the scoreline 35-5, they played quite well, expansive rugby. Their winger looks quite tasty. Ashton Hewitt, he looks good, and they've obviously got the new guy back. What's his name again? The centre that came from Saracens.
We're going to have to rely on Brady in the live chat for that one because I don't know.
Can't think of it now, but I actually think the Dragons will go quite well here. Playing Rodney Parade. The weather is okay tomorrow night, and from what I've seen, the Dragons, they lost last season against Zebra in the corresponding fixture, but they've improved steadily. And last weekend, they were a bit unlucky actually not to beat the handicap against Leinster. They had a yellow card. Leinster got a yellow card with 2 minutes to 3 minutes to go, and then a couple of 5-yard lineouts, and then a crooked throw, threw it away literally. But no, I think the Dragons will go okay here.
Yeah, Crow Tips also saying he got in early on the minus 9.5, reckons that one's cashing already. Let's move on to the next game. Also, Benetton Treviso up against your team, Leinster, here. And if I look at the handicap home team, plus 16.5. Yeah. What do you think? Is the handicap well set here, Dave?
It is very well set. And I'm going to go against my usual. I'm actually going to go with the home team here with the handicap. I saw that at plus 19. Yeah, see Tompkins. That's the one I was forgetting. And Jamie Roberts. I think that Treviso played quite well against Ulster last week. They scored 3 good tries. They were unlucky not to get a bonus point. It was probably the game of the weekend in terms of entertainment. And I see them digging in. They've got Monte Ione on the wing and Tuivaro, I can't remember his name, the other guy on the other wing. They're pretty good at home. Like 2 years ago, let's remember, they nearly beat Leinster at home. So they did beat Leinster at home, and they nearly beat Munster in the quarterfinal in Thomond Park of the Pro 14. So I'm expecting Treviso to probably edge out the handicap. I still see Leinster winning the game with too much class. Like last season, Leinster blooded 53 players. So they've a lot of strength and depth. they do have a number of injuries, but I still see Leinster doing enough to win the match. But I'd be on the plus here.
Excellent. Well, Neil is on the Dragons -8.5, and he's pointing out, of course, that moved. So very important, guys. If you want to catch the early lines, follow all of these guys. Neil is Thoughts on Sports on Twitter. Follow the guys likes of Son of a Punt, and of course, catch them on the Good for the Game forum where they post their best bets as well. Because once these guys post the bets, the lines do tend to move rather quickly. Let's go to the next game. Then, Dave, Cardiff Blues up against Connacht, and this one is much closer. We got the Cardiff Blues favourites here, but only -2.5 points at Sunbet.
Yeah, I was on Connacht last week with the conductor, and they actually had an appalling first half. Like, Glasgow should have been much further ahead, and whatever they said at the team talk at halftime, Andy Friend sent them out a new team. Marmignon, the scrum half, and Cardi, the out half, controlled the game much better in the second half. And Bundy, he was like a man possessed. He scored 2 great tries, and I think they'll be really buoyed by this. As they've got a few guys going to the Irish setup now, this will be the last game that Connacht get to use the internationals, and I think there's a big advantage. They were due to play the game in Cardiff Arms Park, but because of the coronavirus, their field was actually used as a temporary hospital, and the pitch got damaged, so they won't get fixed, they reckon, till December. So they're actually playing the game tomorrow in Rodney Parade, which is the Dragons' home ground. And I think that's if anyone that's been to Newport, it's not the nicest place in the world. I think it will suit the Galway boys, and I see Connacht eking out a victory here.
Right, and you can get 11, 12 to 10 on a Connacht win. Let's move on then to a Munster up against Edinburgh, and here Munster are firm favourites at -10.5.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were reading this week, but they have 3 confirmed corona cases in the Munster camp. And I noticed that the bookies over here have taken down the games. So there's a bit of a question mark whether that game and the Ulster game will go ahead. I know in the Ulster camp, they're saying that they've got 2 confirmed corona cases. And if there's any more, then the game won't go ahead. I was disappointed. Like, I'm a big Richard Cockerell fan. I think Edinburgh have improved steadily with him, and they were a bit unlucky in that semi-final against Ulster in the Pro 14 last week, or few weekends ago. They literally threw it away in the last 20 minutes. So that last week at home, they were heavy favourites. I think 14 points against Ospreys. They got turned over. I see them looking for a big statement this weekend. They're still missing Bill Matta, the number 8, and Bradbury, the back rower. But I would imagine they'll go to Thomond Park with no fear. They beat Munster last year there, and Munster were pretty poor. I know a few of the guys were on Munster, including myself, last weekend, and that Ben Healy kick from the halfway line saved everyone. But Munster were very poor last weekend. They haven't shown much since rugby's returned, and I imagine imagine Edinburgh are going to come good here on the spread. Still see it'll be hard for them to win the match, but if I was going to be asked anything, I haven't put anything down myself, but I'd be on the plus.
Yeah, I see the +10.5 has shortened here slightly to 8 to 10 there on Sunbet. Just to interrupt this Pro 14 broadcast for an announcement, the Henrik Swat has picked up on the Good for the Game forum. Hawke's Bay's rotating, so he says fire the North Harbour minus, and Sean Nicholas rubber stamping that one as well. That is, of course, in the Mitre 10 Cup. Let's move on, though, now to the final game of the Pro 14. It's the Glasgow Warriors up against the Scarlets. And Dave, once again, this is a close one with the home team, the Warriors, -2.5 points with our bookmakers.
Yeah, like if you look at last weekend, Glasgow, they went to Galway, they had a lead at half time, and it was a very good second half from both teams. It really opened up after the break, but I'd be veering towards the home team here. I haven't put anything down on this match myself. It's not one that I've really researched exclusively. But if anything, I'd be looking at Stockton and a home win for Glasgow.
Right, and then that takes us to, we'll run through the best bets in just a few minutes, but let's just quickly touch on the Premiership semi-finals. I don't know if you've been able to have a good look at these, but we've got the Wasps up against the Bristol Bears, and the Wasps are -3.5 point favourites against the Bears. This should be a cracking game.
Yeah, you got I've been a big Bristol fan for a couple of years since Pat Lam left Connacht and went to Bristol. I followed them from when they were in the first division, and they signed Stephen Luatu and Ian Madigan, and they obviously worked their way up. Then the second year, the plan was to hang in the Premiership, and they did that. And then this year, they've fired, and they really deserved their place in the semi-final. My only feels for them is moving forward. They haven't built a squad, but their first 23 are very impressive, and I think it's going to be a hell of a game. You got Fekitoa versus Semi Radradra, which should be like enough to watch alone, and Callum Sheedy against Umanga, the two young out halves. I was going to say two English young out halves, but like Callum Sheedy's just declared for Wales this week. He got announced into their international setup. I would love to say Bristol are going to do it, but if you look at Wasps at home since the restart, they've played 5 matches at home, won 4, lost 1. They've scored over 200 points in those 5 matches. So really, I think Bristol will take them close. Semi Radradra can unlock defences and open up game for other players, but I think the smart money would be on Wasps.
Right, Wasps there, and the handicap, just to remind you, -3.5. So the final game we're going to chat about tonight before we get on to best bets, the Exeter Chiefs against Bath. And here we have a bit more of a one-sided semi-final heat according to the betting. You've got the Chiefs -10.5 points, Dave.
Yeah, I was surprised it was that high. I really think it's a bit like in the tennis when someone loses as a qualifier, they become a lucky loser. And essentially Bath are the lucky losers because of the coronavirus. Like the fact that Sale weren't able to play their final game because they had so many cases. It looked like Sale were going to win that match and get through to the semi-finals at Bath's expense. So I think Bath will have like something to prove here. Like it's a chance to redeem themselves. They're playing in Sandy Park. It's a semi-final, no bonus points to go for. So if they can kick their kicks, Reece Prieston has been one of the most successful place kickers in the Premiership this season. I think I saw it at 12.5 over here. I think that's an awful lot of points. My best bet of the weekend would be Bath on the plus here. I know I'm going against Exeter and Sandy Park, but the fact that there's no fans, surely it's an equaliser. If Exeter get like 8 to 10 points ahead, they're going to take players off because they have a Heineken Cup final the following week, so that they need to rest. So the smart money would be on maybe an Exeter win 1-12.
Yeah, we have the bookmakers here quote that 1-12, and it is quite a popular bet as well. And Dave, let's stick with you then when we talk best bet. When you say best bet of the weekend, you mean in the Premiership or across the board, Pro 14, Bledisloe, the works?
I would be going if I was going to have one best bet of the weekend, it would be the +12 on Bath. Yeah,
Bath on the plus.
Better than that, yeah. Like obviously the guys know a lot more than I do about the Mitre 10 and obviously the Unlocked series, and they're all raving about Northland. But from my expertise, it will be the Bath game. I think it's a lot of points for a semi-final.
Right, so Bath is the best bet there for Dave. And let's go to Oracle. Oracle, I think you've shared your best bet with us already in the Sharks. Anything else catch your fancy, though? Anything you rank up there? Or is New Zealand, is New Zealand perhaps a better bet?
No, look, I expect New Zealand. I expect all my minuses to win, Brent. But gee, Sharks are going to win this game comfortably, and they're going to, the Lions team's nowhere, eh? I mean, they got a lot of youngsters, and they'll be somewhere in a year or 2 years' time. But I'll wear my Lions shirt on Saturday afternoon. Tomorrow night. But the Sharks will win this game comfortably, and I know my wife's going to be all over me because we got a Sharks couch and a Lions couch. No, Sharks will win this game comfortably. That's the best bet of the weekend. You can seriously take any minus up to 9.5, 10.5, and 11.5. You got to think about it. 12, 13, 14, you're going to start taking the Lions. But honestly, I think it's a double-digit win for the Sharks. The Lions are out of their depth here. They're not ready for this. It's race over. No Granny's pension yet. I've got a scheduled call on Wednesday next week with Granny. Next week, we'll have a few more. We'll have something to have looked at. Let's put it that way. We've looked at no South African rugby for 6 months. I know we've seen 2 weeks of, what's it, grandstand showmanship and showpieces or whatever. It's all fun and games. Tomorrow the real stuff starts.
Excellent. So that's Gavin's best bet. I must admit, I quite like that New Zealand handicap, the halftime handicap on the minus. I do fancy that one. But I'm going to sort of absorb what's been said on tonight. I must say, I've been following the boys over the last few weeks. I sort of stayed out of my rugby punting for a while. I've been on an excellent run. I played poker in midweek and had an absolute disaster. So I need to make a few. In fact, I was messaging Dave while I was playing. But I need to pull things right this weekend. But first of all, just to say thanks to yourself, Gavin, and yourself, Dave. Thanks a lot for joining the show. And Henrik, of course, who was on earlier. And then to all the guys in the live chat, thanks very much for giving us your tips and also playing along in the competitions. Thanks to Ari for sponsoring that prize at Stoker's Arms. That's it, everyone. Gav, have a great weekend. I'm sure we'll be in touch. If I'm not mistaken, I might still have a bit of credit with you.
You actually, you are. You're up $1,000. You want to do something with it?
Let's wait and see. Excellent. I'm with you. I like New Zealand, so I can't go against you then. I quite like the Sharks as well. So I'm actually shouting with the Oracle this weekend. And Dave, have a good weekend as well. And look forward to chatting to you soon.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you soon, guys. Take care. Have a great night. And thanks for the show.
Excellent. And thanks to all the boys on the live chat. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, what's wrong with you? Hit the subscribe button. Oracle Rugby, who's on the show here, well, you can go and find his site, Oraclepedia. He's going to be previewing some of the games individually. Thanks very much, guys. Just a final word here from Griquas, liking the Bath plus there. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.